Hey guys, and welcome back to our Stars and Stripes in Maple Syrup. We have the one, the only JW. It's Justin Warner from Toronto. Welcome back, Justin.
Hi, mate. How you doing?
Good, good, good. So before we start, guys, don't forget to hit the subscribe button or whatever it is, on whatever platform you're looking at. It's going to be somewhere around there. I don't know. I can never remember which side I'm on. All right. So Easter. I hope you had enough chocolate eggs.
Didn't have very much chocolate, to be honest. I was a good boy. I had a little bit, got some for the kids, but yeah, we didn't. Mother-in-law arrives from Sunderland in a week and a bit, so I'm expecting her to come laden with chocolate. But yeah, we've been saving it up for them. So
Yeah,
a
I
quiet
hit, I
weekend.
hit, I hit the last of my club biscuits this week.
Oof.
So, and I can't get them from my usual supply. They used to sell them in the pack of 48, and
Yeah.
I'm not doing them, so I've got to work something out. But we're not here to talk about chocolate and biscuits. We're talking about football clubs, particular Sunderland games. So let's start off with the Good Friday game at Hull. It messed up my weekend because it felt like a Saturday all day. And that may be why the defending was so sloppy. Everyone thought it was Saturday, they played on a Friday, they didn't know what they were doing.
It's a theory, definitely. Yeah, it was a bit of a extreme, I guess, difference from the Burnley game the week before. Well, we'd kept it tight and hadn't really got forward very much. But yeah, from the get-go, we were straight out of the blocks and attacking and not defending. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it took a little while for, I don't remember who the team was. It was Mishu and Neil in the middle.
yeah,
And I think they just didn't know what they were doing. Um,
no,
and I saw a lot on Twitter about how you can't play Mishu and Neil together. And I'm like, well, you wouldn't play Mishu and Neil together if Corey Evans is fit. Corey would be the anchor, and you'd have Mishu and Neil getting forward and supporting the attack, but then coming back and supporting Neil in defense. So it's kind of the best of a bad situation given our injuries. But I think once Hull scored, I think Mowbray must have given a rocket from the sideline because things picked up incredibly well.
yeah. The first goal was a bit of a mess. I mean, we'd sort of, as I say, we've been pushing forwards a fair amount. I think that we had an attack that broke down. Um, and yeah, you could kind of see that we had two lines set up, um, and Hull were basically 4-on-4 at the back. Neither Neil or Mishu tracked back. I mean, I'd saw online a couple of people maybe blaming Diallo for not tracking back, but I mean, he's an attacking midfielder. Really, don't you wouldn't expect him to be tracking a runner all the way back, but yeah, no, nobody went with the runners, and fair play to Tufan from Hull. I mean, it was a very good finish. Um, you might question whether Patterson should have been beaten so easily at his near post, but I think that would be a piling on the criticism a little
I
bit.
think it'd
I
be
don't.
harsh.
Yeah,
I look at the goals. There's none. I don't think any of the goals I could blame put it squarely at Parsons' feet, either from his positioning or his lack of movement. So um, I was just disappointed to concede three at home.
yeah,
I had to double check the results. I couldn't remember if it was 3-3 or 4-4. But yeah, I mean, it was sloppy defending. I mean, look, that first whole goal was really well worked. They posted on their Twitter feed, they showed the goal, and it was, I mean, it was a lot slower than our Reading goal, but it was nicely moved. They passed the ball around. We were running, with chasing shadows for that first goal,
yeah.
and we were lucky not to go two down. If we're honest, they had an opportunity soon after that, and I thought this was going to be a long day. Um,
Yeah, I think it was a combination of Neil and Mishu weren't providing a huge amount of cover for a nine and Bath at the back, but I think Gooch was having one of his wandering games as well, and didn't um, didn't cover himself with glory on a couple of the goals as well. So
but again, I mean, he was playing left back. He's not a left back.
no,
I mean, look, I struggle to blame somebody who's been playing so blatantly out of position for going missing and positionally. Like
yeah,
he did a good job overall of the two games covering the positions where like it's not his game. It's not how he plays, and I'm sure he wouldn't want to play that given the choice. But you know me, I'm a fan of Lyndon Gooch, so I'm not going to criticize him too much. But going forward, my word.
When we went forward with pace, yeah, I think there were a couple of times where the play slowed down a little bit. We certainly still suffer from a lack of a focal point up front. So there were times where we were sort of playing the ball around, hoping somebody would make a run off the ball, would break into the box, and it just never really happened. And we were just ending up playing the ball around, and then somebody would have a long range shot, or Alan would try one. But yeah, when we break with pace, it's there's not too many teams can live with us, I think.
I don't think teams in that division can live with us, and I think there's quite a few Premier League teams that struggle to keep up with us when we're breaking at pace.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, you look at the goal. We scored a beauty against Hull. We scored a beauty against Reading. We scored a few really beautiful goals from breaking at pace and one-touch ball movement. Yeah, and I think even some of the best defenses in the Premier League would struggle to keep up with us when we're flowing like that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't 3-3, it was 4-4.
Indeed. Yep.
As I say, it was such a bizarre game. I'm mad with two. I thought the penalty that we got was probably generous.
Yeah, I mean, I think somebody argued on the chat that it would have been, you'd have complained if it had been given against us. Yeah. You can see why it was given. I mean, it was, Clark went down a little bit easy, but I mean, the defender definitely straightened his arm and did push him in the back. Whether it was enough to make a grown man fall over like that is questionable. But yeah, no arguments for me. I'll take it all day.
No, I'll take it all day, but I'm always aggrieved when they're given against us.
Yeah.
And like you say, if that had been in the Premier League and the old VAR had been involved, they would have given the penalty anyway. So not much of a complaint you can have if you're a Hull supporter when they consider that. And I thought for the most part, Stroud had a good game. We were dreading him coming on because he's a nightmare of a referee. But the Burnley game and Stroud for us against Hull, I thought both referees were really good.
Yeah, agreed.
And the fans, 40,000 on Good Friday.
On a game that was on Sky and late in the day as well. So yeah, take your hat off and hats off to the Hull supporters. I mean, they brought a decent contingent down as well. I think they had the best part of 2,000 supporters down as well. So
going back to the Clark going down for a penalty, I don't know whether you saw this, but a certain Norwich City fullback
yes
tweeted a comment. Which I think
formerly of a parish near ours. Yes, yeah. He wasn't overly complimentary, so yes, I can see his point, but at the same time, he tripped himself up and fell over in our game against him. So I've got no idea why he's got a grievance against Jack Clark at all.
The amount of fans that posted that GIF of him falling over nothing.
Yeah,
I would have just pipe down, lad, shut up.
Yeah, pick your battles. It's not the hill you want to die on, is it? So.
The game was one of those games where you blink and you miss the half.
Yeah.
I never felt fully comfortable about us seeing out the game.
Well, we had the glorious chance. I mean, Clark again got put through, I think, by a combination of Roberts and Diallo, and he just couldn't sort his feet out and get the shot he wanted off, and he just ended up blasting it over the bar. I think if that one had gone in, it would have been game, set, match. But yeah, while it was just a goal, while it was a goal in it, we had this uncanny habit of shooting ourselves in the foot. And unfortunately, Mr. Eckler did it for us this time. But I saw a stat online saying I think we've lost 12 points. Somebody reckoned from winning positions in the last 10 minutes of games this season.
Oh, which is going to want to look into that.
Yeah, I don't know how true it is, but it's it kind of resonates, and it sort of speaks to how we do tend to sit back and invite pressure when we're trying to close games down. And I think it's a little bit of a lack of experience. I think that certainly came back to bite us against Hull.
But positives, I mean, look, Echo was closing the man down. That's his job. His job is to close the man down at the edge of the box. And again, like with the Clark penalty, there wasn't enough contact there to knock a grown man over.
I would argue there was, mate. I would argue there was. I mean, he kicked his foot. It was more of a stonewall penalty than ours, I would say. When you say it's his job to close a man down, but there's closing down and there's just diving in. And
the sad thing is we were already over the time limit for time added on, because we scored in the 98th minute and we only had 6 minutes. And I struggle to see where they got 6 minutes of injury time from. But well, I mean, we're having a great season. I'm not complaining about dropping points. We're not going down. We're not going up.
Yeah, it was annoying more than anything else. I think. I think it was annoying more than anything else to have got ourselves back into the position, sort of having gone a goal down and then having had them go a goal up again with 3-2, to pull it back, turn it around to 4-3, and have had those chances. I think it was just disappointing to drop the points, but yeah, a game for the neutrals definitely. It was good end-to-end entertainment.
So from my perspective, I think maybe Mowbray kind of didn't make the right substitutions that maybe he should have. I agree in bringing Ekwa on. He came on for Mishu, who had run himself in the ground.
Yeah.
Bringing Pritchard on, I mean, Pritchard, he's not going to help you defend in that last 15 minutes. And with the players we had on the bench, I just think there were better options to bring on than Pritchard. When Circle was on the bench, Barr was on the bench, Anderson was on the bench. I think each of those three would have provided a little bit more support than Pritchard would have. But well, as I said, we were at the end of that game. We were 55 points. I don't think there's a Sunderland fan in the world who, at the end of July, when the season kicked off, and when we said, "Look, Good Friday, you'll be safe with 55 points, and you don't have to worry about the rest of the season." I don't think any of them would have been like, "No, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. We should be winning the league."
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's sort of testament to how we've done without any real recognised forwards or centre forwards, that we're still scoring goals. We're still playing entertaining football. As I said earlier, I think it's just there are times where we look like we are lacking that sort of focal point to our attack. But hopefully that gets rectified.
Focal point to attack. Our issue hasn't been attack. We're the fourth highest scorers in the division. There's only Burnley, Sheffield United, Borough, those three teams that have scored more. Where we're struggling is the fact that we're 14th in goals against.
Yeah, but you could argue that that's because we don't have anybody up front to hold the ball up. So when we do lose the ball, it's coming straight back at us. Whereas you would kind of hope that if you had Stewart or another as a centre forward, that the ball would stick a little bit better up front. But yeah, it's like you say. I think we kind of picking at straws a little bit, and I know it's the Sunderland fans' way to mow twist on 21, but I think we're as you say, I think any of us would have been happy to know that we were in mid-table at this point of the season with no danger of anything very much happening.
Yeah, and I've been getting a lot of I wouldn't say abuse, but I've been getting grief on Twitter because they're talking, let's go and push for the playoffs. Let's make sure we get in the playoffs and win it and get in the Premier League. I'm like, no, thank you. Do not put me in the Premier League next season. Will not thank you for that. And all that, we can buy players. I mean, that's not the model, though.
Yeah.
The model is slow and steady growth. It might take 4, maybe 5 seasons to get us to the Premier League, But by the time we get there, we're going to be a Premier League club with a Premier League squad and a track record of bringing young players in, moving them on, making big profits. And just the way that the Brightons and the Brentfords have done, you see that the players they're buying are a slightly higher number now. Whether it was they were buying, well, who's the Brentford forward with the betting problem?
Tony.
Yeah, so they bought Tony from Peterborough for 14 million. They'll end up selling him for 50 plus.
Yeah.
And that shows you that you don't have to keep free transfers or look, we'll give you X amount on the resale. So it's look, I think I'll for the most part, with the exception of the not bringing another striker in, our transfer policy has been solid this season. I think we've got a lot more hits. I don't think we've got any real misses from a transfer perspective this season. Yeah, we've got injuries that we couldn't cover, but
yeah, I mean, with hindsight, I mean, obviously people would question whether sending Matete off when Evans got injured was the right decision, but I think for his development it was. People will now say that Ballard's injured. Why did we send Bailey Wright off on loan? But I mean, if we had a crystal ball, then yeah, maybe we wouldn't have done. But knowing what we knew at the time, Bailey Wright wanted to be playing first team football. Rotherham were going to offer that to him, and we weren't. So it was a no-brainer.
Would have broke his leg anyway.
Well, chances are, yeah. And yeah, I know there are those amongst us who claim that the owner doesn't have a pot to piss in, but
are you saying Sean?
I'm not calling any names out, mate, but
Sean quite a few times.
But it has been mentioned on occasion that the model is not an ethos that we brought in because we believe that's the right way to be doing it. It's because we don't have any money, but I think at the end of the day, I think it's proven. And people are sort of saying, well, somebody's going to come in for Jack Clark and buy him. But he's got time left on his contract. We don't have to sell him. But if they do come in, we'll get good money for him. And hopefully...
The thing with the Clark one, and again, I think I know it was certain that that Tottenham have the ability to buy him back at a set price.
Yeah.
And they've got, I think, 40% of the profit. I don't know what the Clark.
I think there was a similar situation with Clark. I think they had a buyback clause that's passed now, so I don't think they're able to buy him back at. I think it was like 6 or 7 million. And it wouldn't surprise me if we had a profit clause in there as well, that they will get a share of whatever we sell him for. But so what? I mean, basically, we get 15-20 million for him, then we're still going to be up 10 at least 10-12 million. So yeah, I think trust the process, move forward. I think that everybody knows that we need one or two centre forwards and Ukrainian under 12 players aside. I think we need to buy a couple more, and everybody knows that. I just hope we don't get ripped off as a result of it. But yeah, I think we have known gaps in the squad, and you would like to think, based on past performance, that Speakman and the team are already looking at who they can bring in.
Yeah. So I mentioned to you before you jumped on that I've been a Football Manager. If I look at the clauses part of someone for Jack Clark, they'll be due 3 million if we gain promotion before next season.
Okay.
And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 installments due annually for the next 4 years of 500,000.
Okay.
So it's a certain one that worries me. I don't think that option to buy back has a time limit on it. And they've got 40% of the net transfer fee as well. So let's just try to keep fooling them that he's shit.
If he gets a concussion every season,
it's worth a thin skull.
Exactly.
All right, so that was the whole game.
Yep.
Are we seeing as 2 points dropped, or are we happy with the points?
I think it was a fair result. I think neither team really deserved to lose it. but like I said, having been in the position to go 5-3 up, it was disappointing. And then to concede a penalty with the last kick of the game, Patterson nearly getting his fingers to it as well. It was disappointing, and I mean, I know that the Toronto crew, we were together at Craft watching the game, and everyone was pretty despondent. I mean, it felt like points dropped rather than a point gained. But
I mean,
I
when
think
you look at it as we stand now, obviously after the Cardiff game, it would have put us in the playoff position. I think because we would be what are we 4 points behind?
We're 4 points behind. Yes, that
would
have put us 2 points behind. Yeah.
All right, so we were. It's not too bad. Cardiff game. Obviously, the reason that we're recording this on Wednesday evening is because the powers that be, for such a religious country that is America, it doesn't have Easter Monday, which is blasphemy, says the atheist. But I celebrated Easter Monday because I still had Easter eggs left, and still have Easter eggs left.
Good man.
But Cardiff was such a bad game to watch.
It was, yeah. I mean, you look at the stats, and I mean, I think we were 75-25% up on possession at the half, and I think it only went down to 68% over the full 90. So we have an awful lot of the ball, but we really did very little with it.
I think this was the game more than any this season that showed how much we missed Stewart.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that first half, if Stewart had been in the squad or had been in that team, I think that first half we would have gone in halftime 4-5 up.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We definitely had the chances. I was listening to it on the radio, and then watched it to catch up, just in case I'd been misrepresented by Messrs. Bennett and Barnes. But yeah, it wasn't pretty viewing. It was. I mean, Cardiff were an awful side. They're a very big side, and I know Mowbray said that he'd set the team up to keep possession because he felt that was the way to win the game against such a large team. And evidently it worked because we came away with the points. But yeah, it was after the almost basketball game on the Friday. This was hard work.
I mean, he made a number of changes. Obviously, Luke O'Neill stayed behind because his wife was popping a squad. I don't know if she's popped that squad yet or not. But we're at home on Saturday, so he can play on Saturday anyway.
Yeah.
But I think it was an attempted back three that turns into a back five when we're defending, or back four when we're defending, with Hume moving in central and Gooch dropping at the fullback.
Yeah. It was, I mean, it was advertised as a 4-3-3, with sort of Gooch as a right back and Sirkin a left back, but it definitely looked more like three at the back, and then Gooch and Clark essentially as well. They weren't even wing backs, because they weren't really getting back that much, but
they didn't need to in the first half at least.
Yeah.
Now, but we were 0-0 at half time. I was worried. I'm going to be honest. It felt as though this would be a game we'd lose 1-0. I mean, the fact that Cardiff had to bring two players off because their manager was so disgusted in their performance in the first half. Frankie was like, I can't believe this has happened. I don't think this has ever happened in football in history. And
it has. I'm pretty certain that we've done it before. But...
I'll tell you what, I did enjoy Lee Howie as the co-commentator. It's like we're having Danny Collins. I like Danny's really good from a knowledge perspective, and he manages to calm Frankie down a little bit. But Lee Howie kind of, you can almost sense him kind of heading the ball and giving the kicks as he's kind of going, and you hear bam, oh. So
unfortunately on the recording of the game, it's because it was on the red button on Sky. I got the Sky commentary, so I didn't get Frankie and Mr. Howie. So missed out on that one. But yeah, Gary Bennett was his usual positive self about the way we were performing. I can't imagine Lee Howie's take on it was too much different.
I mean, Howie was definitely playing the game from his commentary seat.
Yeah.
Obviously,
we're doing a job for us, to be honest.
I think even Howie would have knocked in a couple in that first half. What shocked me more than anything else, given that Gelhardt had got his goal against Hull on the Friday, was the fact that you didn't start him.
Yeah.
And that's just that for me. It's like, okay, he's got his goal. His confidence is probably a little bit higher. If he'd been in that box, I think even Joffy would have got a couple.
Yeah, quite possibly. I think you're right. It's I mean, he did an awful lot of running on Friday, but I mean, he's a young lad. He's a professional footballer. You'd think he'd be able to play 2 games in 4 days. But yeah, it was again lack of a focal point up front with a lot of long range shots, a lot of really shit long range shots. Just Dan Neil, Barr had one from a ridiculous angle that, and yeah, it was just. Equa had a couple as well. It's sort of, yeah, I can kind of see the reason why we were shooting long range, because there was again nobody in the box for us to pass the ball to. But yeah, for God's sake, if you're gonna have a long range shot, at least make the goalie do something rather than having to pick the ball out of the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the stats on that game, we had 18 shots at goal.
Yeah.
And only what the app that I use only says we had 2 big chances. And I can remember, well, I mean, I guess if you're classing the
Clark's header probably doesn't count, does it? Because it was offside. But they probably don't include that.
I think I posted the image from Sky that showed it looked as though it was pretty much on. Well, it was
close, but yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad we didn't have to sit through 30 minutes of VAR with Rula going, oh well, was it this? Was it? But look, we came away with 3 points, and that's what ultimately, it doesn't matter how well you play, how badly you are. I mean, whether the ball hits off your striker's arse and loops over the goalkeeper, it's the 3 points at the end of the day.
Yep.
And going away somewhere like Cardiff where they're battling to stay up. I still don't think they're fully safe yet. Where's my table gone? That's on my phone. Yeah, I mean, Cardiff are still right there, only a point above the drop zone. So they were really battling. And they didn't look in the first half like a team that was battling to stay up. They look like
they were already down and they were on the beach and given up, didn't they? They were woeful. I mean, to be honest, I mean, you look at how many points have they got? They got 42 points.
Yeah.
I mean, without Wigan's point deduction and without Reading's point deduction, they would be in the relegation zone. So they're there out of luck more than anything else at the moment. But yeah, they were just a very poor side. I mean, it wasn't really until the last 15, 20 minutes where they started lumping the ball forward. So we looked like we might buckle a little bit, and but I thought Trey Heem did pretty well as the right-sided centre back, and Sirkin does a job for us. So he and took his goal very well as well. So I think we'll chalk that one up to a goal from a set piece, because God knows that set pieces have been shite this season as well. So.
Oh, that's not just this season. When was the last time we were any good at set pieces?
Well, yeah, I think we have had this discussion before, haven't we?
Yeah.
But
I think we've realised that even when we had Seb Larson, it was the myth that he was good at set pieces more than the was. All right, so you look at 2 games over Easter, both against teams fighting for survival. I think Hull were probably, Hull 52, so they're probably safe. So they were probably a little bit less worried. But 4 points out of that, I think we'd have taken them at the beginning of the
year. Yeah, definitely.
But then you get Blackburn drop points, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, what was 7 points with 7 games to go becomes 4 points with 5 to go, and now everyone's clamouring for us to beat Birmingham and Huddersfield and push on and get into the playoffs, and I can't get on board with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got. I guess the next two home games are ones that you would think that we should win. Obviously, Birmingham and Huddersfield.
So Birmingham sitting on 50 points. I don't see Reading getting 9 out of the last 5. I don't see them winning 3 games. So Birmingham are safe. They've nothing to play for. They're never going to get up to the catch up to Blackburn with 12 points behind. So I don't see them coming out and trying their asses off.
Yep.
I think Huddersfield 43, depending on who they've got this weekend. Let's have a look. Saturday, Huddersfield are playing away at Swansea, who are dire as well at the moment. So Huddersfield could theoretically be all but safe by the time we play them next week.
Yeah.
So you'd like to think that Birmingham and Huddersfield are 6 points. And you look at the teams that are above us that are going to play each other. I ran through the old score predictor.
Yeah.
And I could see us beating West Brom, Huddersfield, Birmingham. Could see us getting a point at Preston. Sorry, point at home to Watford, although what Watford team turn up, you never know.
Yeah.
And I think I had us narrowly beating Preston on the last day of the season, which had us in the playoffs on goals scored, which I really don't want, but if I'm honest about it. But I think those 5 teams we got left, Birmingham, Huddersfield, West Brom, Watford, Preston, are all games we could win.
Yeah. And I mean, people always say that it's a good thing to go into the playoffs on form, and we'd have to be on form because we'd have to have won all those games. So we could very well be hitting the playoffs at the right time, but yeah, dear God, I don't really don't want to go up this season. So.
No, and I've said that on online on Twitter a lot this week, and it's like, oh, what are you scared of? I'm like, I'm scared of getting hammered.
Yeah,
I'm scared of 38 stuffings. The confidence of these young kids that were developing nicely being shattered and ruining them as players, and being in League One in 3 seasons.
Yeah. I mean, Burnley have bounced back up. They've been promoted the quickest of any team that's been relegated from the Premier League, and they got spanked by City
6-0.
6-0. Yeah, and I don't really want that. I mean, yeah, there's always the argument that sort of, yeah, it'll make us more attractive to players like Mishu for him to stay. We've got a better chance of keeping Jack Clark if we go up. Patterson will stay if we go up.
I think we got a chance of loaning back Ahmad if we went up.
We've got probably a chance of getting Ahmad back on loan. But apart from that, really, I mean, sort of, you got, yeah, kids like Ekwa, Trey Hume, really need another season or two of the championship to be Premier League ready. I think
what irritates me about the Sunderland fans that criticize me for my lack of ambition. Look, I'm 47 years old. My dad dragged me along to Roker Park in 1978. So I've been watching Sunderland for a while now.
Yep.
That's what, 45 years nearly. Okay. And I've seen it all apart from us win anything of note. Like, the first division is just the second flag, so it's not like anything that prestigious. Like, we haven't won a major tournament, an FA Cup, a League Cup, a league. We haven't got into Europe, although Peter Reid's whipping us out of in the Toto twice, denying us that. But I've seen us get relegated a lot. I mean, the first relegation I remember was after the League Cup final in '85.
Yeah.
And then we had a struggling season under McMenemy in the first division or in the second division. Obviously, we went down to the third division, and then we just kind of yo-yoed.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I look at the way that the business is run at Brighton, and I look at the way Brentford have done it, and you have fans say, well, we're much bigger than Brighton, or we're much bigger than Brentford. I'm like, yeah, but we don't run our business anywhere near as efficiently.
Yeah.
Like, let us do, like, if it takes us 5 seasons, 5 good competitive seasons in the Championship to get back into the Premier League, but that means we're in the Premier League for 10, 15, 20 years, and we're not relegation fodder every year, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I can deal with the Championship. No, after 4 years of League One, I can deal with a few years in the Championship.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. And I mean, when we had Christian Speakman on the NASA talking before, and he was basically saying exactly what you've just said, that the club itself was a year or two behind even being Championship ready, off the field, let alone on the field. And yeah, if you look at the young kids we've got in the team, I'm sure everyone would love it if we got promoted. I mean, yes, it would be great to be in the Premier League at the right time, but now is not the right time. It's totally not, and we can't afford to do a Nottingham Forest and buy 23 or however many it was. I think they were over 27. Yeah, like a ridiculous number of new players, and then still potentially get relegated the next year, because that's how it's looking for them at the moment. So I don't want to be that team.
Look, I've loved this season. It has been my favourite season. I've enjoyed this season more than last.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed the way we've played the game, the style, the high press. Even after Neil left and Mowbray seemed to get rid of that high press a little bit, but the way we play. I know that when Dreyfus bought in the club and Speakman came in, they were talking about a style that people identify as being Sunderland.
Yeah.
Now look, if this free flowing quick counter is Sunderland going forward, I'm in. I mean, it's great to watch.
Yeah, agreed. And I think like you say, we're probably missing a couple of pieces from being a complete team in the Championship. But what we need more than anything else at the moment is match experience. I mean, I thought Equa played well against Cardiff. Obviously, he made the mistake against Hull, but you got to remember, it's the kid's, was it 4th game as a professional player?
I mean, how old is he? I think he's what, 19, 20?
Yeah.
And okay, he came through the ranks at Chelsea and West Ham, but never played in the first team. He never.
Exactly.
So it's like you got to look at yourself like this is an experience.
Yeah.
And watching fans slate him like he's had 20 years experience and should be able to avoid this stuff is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But my biggest fear about going up is that we beat our own record, or we beat Derby's record of lowest points.
It's a strong possibility. Yeah.
And I gotta be honest, the shit that's talked online, talking about bringing in Ashley Barnes next season, he's like the player that we need. And like, he's 33.
Yeah.
He's played 30 times this season and scored 6. I mean, that's the exact kind of player that we don't want anymore. That on the downward slope, not performing to his prior goals, that's not the player we want.
Yeah. Yeah, so ready to go today. They were talking about bringing Henderson back because he's on his way out at Liverpool.
Yeah, because Jordan Henderson making 140,000 with 2 years in his contract. No problem. I'm going back to Sunderland for 20 grand a week.
It's going to happen.
Jordan's probably going to go to the US or come to the US.
Yeah, chances are.
I don't know if Tampa has an MLS team.
They don't.
Okay, so I guess then he can go play for Orlando. That'll be my closest thing.
Miami or Orlando, isn't it? Basically in Florida. So
there you go. So we'll go with Orlando because it's only 2 hours.
Okay.
All right, so we're saying 4 points out of 6 isn't the worst thing in the world. We're mathematically safe from relegation. That's a great thing.
Yep.
That's what we set out to do. I think beginning of the season we were favourites to go back down. I think we've confounded our critics. we've overcome a horrific injury crisis this year.
Yeah.
Here's the question. We're sitting on 58 points right now. If Evans and Stewart had been fit throughout, and I'm just going to go those two players, I think, for the positions that we've got, they're the ones we've had the least amount of coverage from.
Yeah.
Where would we be, in your mind?
That's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, I would say, I mean, if that 12 points from winning positions thing is true, let's just say we had those 12 points back, that would put us at 70 points. So that would put us just above Borough. So
we'd be fourth.
Yeah, I would say probably possibly fourth or fifth. I would say. I mean, just because we draw 12 points doesn't mean we get them all back. But I think of the teams we've played, if you discount Luton because they're Luton, but I would say we're definitely on a par with at least with Millwall, Blackburn, and Norwich. So somewhere around the sort of the low 60s would be about right, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a season of what if. I think if you look at the games we've played this season, and I think we had this conversation when you've been on in the past. No one's really blown us away over 90 minutes.
No.
Burnley in the second half at the Stadium of Light. I mean, look, Stoke spanked us, but that was more of us not showing up than Stoke being absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think Sheffield United were particularly great against us either game.
No. I think even when we were down to 10 men, they didn't look particularly great. So, yeah.
So I think on our day, we have more than enough to beat any team in this league, with maybe the exception of Burnley.
Yeah.
They're a good team and they're well managed. I think what's his name? Company's come in and done a really good job there.
Yeah, agreed.
The next question I have for you is: we have Watford in the penultimate game of the season, our last game at home. Will Chris Wilder still be their manager?
It doesn't sound like it, does it? What an absolute basket case of a club that is.
I'm sat here working, and you see the TV behind me. Normally it's got Sky Sports on, and I'm listening as I'm working, and it's like news of managerial change at Watford, and I'm like, Watford? I'm like, I know this is Watford, but come on.
The 12th manager of the season. So what's the story with that? What's the story with that one? They're saying that they've identified the bloke they want to bring in long term, and because Wilder was only on a short term contract, they're just going to get him in now.
Isn't he a 2-year contract though?
I don't know. I saw somebody saying that it was he'd only been brought in to the end of the season, but it seems a bit bizarre. I would be amazed if that was true.
I mean, they're just saying that Watford are just saying that he'll be the manager till at least the end of the 22-23 season. When they signed him, it was a short-term contract at the end of the season, 5 months.
Okay.
So, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they had somebody else by the time their kid was.
Yeah. You and me both.
All right, so 2 questions for you. How many points are we going to finish the season with? 5 games to go, 58 points on the board right now. I mean, 73 is the maximum we can get if my math is right. Maths is right.
Yeah. I can see us winning the next 2. I think we might lose. I think we might lose to West Brom. Get a draw against Watford, and I think we might lose the last game of the season. So that's what, 7 points.
All right, so I mean, look, at the beginning of the season, if you'd offered me 65 points, I'd have ripped your limbs off for it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to put the Joffy bet on again this week. It's the only one that came out for us over the weekend was him scoring any time against Hull. Birmingham International Fans Day.
Yep.
What do you think the score's going to be?
I'm going to go 2-0.
Okay, I'm glad you said nothing because I'd already written down 2-1 for me.
There you go.
All right, well, it's the same week. There's no games in between. So let's take a look and see what the guys at PowerBet or Power Sports are putting for odds. I'm going to do something with this. It's the whole two-screen system is annoying for me. Okay, so football. We're looking at championship. Excuse my language. Competitions. England. Championship. Okay, so Sunderland versus Birmingham. Let's score. All right, 2-0 Sunderland is 15-2. Right,
that sounds a bit long, but okay.
All right, Sunderland 2-0. Yeah, actually 2-0 and 2-1 are both 15-2.
Really? No, well, there you go.
So, and then we'll check on Joffy to score any time, and we'll see how we get. At the moment, Joffy scoring against Cardiff got us $20, or 20 quid, sorry. We're at £65 in the Bradley Lowry Foundation. I've got us getting 71 points this season. I'm being really optimistic. I don't want us to get 71 points because, as I said, that puts us in the playoffs, and I'd just rather watch somebody else in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because it would be the most Sunderland of Sunderland things to do to go and win the bloody thing.
Yeah, that would be the most ridiculous thing ever, wouldn't it? So get promoted and give us a real fucking problem. But yeah.
All right, well, JW, thank you very much for coming on tonight. I think this is what, your fourth appearance of the season?
I think third, possibly, yeah.
All right, Sunderland fans in America, you got to do a better job of coming on and talking with me. We're going to do an end of season review, and then we'll probably do something live from San Antonio game.
Perfect. I guess on that note, as the representative for NASA, if anybody out there is listening and isn't currently a member of the North American Supporters Association, get on board as soon as you can, because there's a lot of stuff that's going on around those preseason games that is likely to only be available to members of NASA. So get your membership renewed or get signed up as soon as you can.
I'm sure you'll be putting a blast out to everybody before.
There will be one or more emails going out, and people will ignore them and then ask me stupid questions. So I look forward and welcome that.
Any news on the virtual AGM?
No, because Rebecca's literally only just come back from the UK. She was away with her family. So no, I think we're still hoping to get it done in April, but it may well bleed into, I guess, May the 8th is the last game of the season. So we need to get it done before then. But yeah, watch this space.
Okay, well, I know we have, 3 members of NASA who are traveling for International Fans Day?
It might be 4. Yeah.
I saw on Twitter that Martin had left.
Mine is already there and exploring, by his standards, the flesh pots of something. He made it as far as the wheat sheaf. So God bless him, because the Colliery Tavern was closed, so he had to go somewhere else. But yeah, you never know. You might actually tempt him to cross the river at some point. But
I doubt it. So my intention had been to go for International Fans Day. That was going to be my trip home this year. But then when Sunderland decided to announce the US tour so early, it was like, okay, well, I've been to Sunderland before. I haven't been to San Antonio or Albuquerque. So I was like, I can watch Sunderland play Birmingham, or I can watch them here in the sun. So
yes, it's a tricky one, definitely.
And I probably, if I wasn't moving this summer, probably could have wangled both. But with relocating from Virginia Beach to Florida, I'm not going to get that one done.
Yeah, I'm only going to be able to get to the North Carolina game this time around, because I have somebody who lives in North Carolina. But the games out west are a little bit too far away. It's her graduation this year, so we're going down for that.
And how far away is Goalie Girl from Raleigh?
It's about 2.5 hours drive, so it's not too bad.
That's not too far, not too much further from where I am now.
Yeah.
But I think I'm 99% certain now that we'll be in Tampa before the tour starts.
Yeah.
But
Sean's threatening to go down. Sean's threatening to go down to North Carolina. So
Sean texted me the other day and was like, "Are you sure they're having a game in North Carolina?
Oh,
Because there's nothing on." And I'm like, "Talk to
I got the same thing. I got the same thing. Yeah. Thanks for that. Because exactly the same message. Google has it. It was like the club says there aren't any games. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? This? Where are you getting this? Oh, I looked on Google. I was like, well, Jesus, man.
Yeah, I think if you look at Sunderland fixtures on Google at the moment, it shows the two against the New Mexico and the Texas team. And I don't have they announced who they're playing in? So I know tickets are available.
They're playing North Carolina FC, which is like a USL team. But for some reason,
the Battery.
They're not doing the Battery or whoever else it was. But North Carolina FC play at Carey. For some reason, completely unknown to me, they haven't included it on their fixtures. They have a separate page with the details of the Sunderland game. So I'm guessing that's probably why Google hasn't picked it up. But I have tickets. The game is on. So if anybody out there is also scared that the game we're talking about a phantom game in North Carolina, it's definitely happening.
Yeah, I love Sean. He's a good lad. He really is, but he's easy to wind up.
Aye.
Mind you, I don't love his text when we're not playing well.
No, I can imagine.
Like I'll just like phone can go away. I'm watching. All right, JW, thank you very much for jumping on every time you have this season. We'll be back hopefully for the championship season next year, and we'll get you on once or twice next season. Hopefully, we'll have a wider variety of Sunderland fans on next season, and I can push through the 50 views a week thing. So thank you very much. We have who do we have coming on from the International Fans Day this week?
Jason Shep, maybe.
I think so. I did have it written down on a piece of paper right down there, but I seem to have misplaced that piece of paper clearing up, but it'll be in my notes. So we will be back next week. We'll be back for our regular Monday lunchtime release. J Dubs, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. Cheers, mate.